I'm missing a small part of the screen, but I think that's okay. Does everybody came on stage? Should I ping everybody on general console, or did you have been prevented? Should I ping everyone? At everyone, or it's okay? Yeah, ping. Okay. Thanks, Alex. It's starting. Well, okay, second point. Should I start with the small introduction of miners union validator, or should we start with a subnet owner? Which order do you want? Which order do you prefer?
I think people know what MUV is now. If you're here, most likely by now.
Let's do quick info on that.
Okay. So I start by a small introduction of today. Well, I'm gonna share my screen a little bit. It's gonna be quick. I promise, guys. I'll try to make it quick. So we've prepared a minor slides, let's say a presentation, which show off what our progress is, and what are the recent changes. So what have been achieved? APY is now finally fixed, as you can see in the dashboard. So for a few days, let's say almost a week, it has been totally incorrect because of the child.key feature. We are sorry about that. Now it has been fixed, and initially thanks to Taostat, but now we are calculating it directly on chain thanks to Wage, our one of our team member. So thank you very much. And as you can see, for the moment, we're reaching approximately 16% basically. And for the boosted voters, so that's the kickback that we return to the voters currently, we reach above 18%, which is like very, very insane. And I'm very, very proud of all the team right there, because we are putting a lot of efforts to validate on most of the subnets, and even trying to restart the validators that are crashing. So thank you very much, especially to Alex. One of the features that has been added also is the subnet weight history in the home page. So right now you can see all of the past weights that have been set by our validator. Like every chart in BitTensor, it's not that friendly because there is like 50 subnets. So I'm sorry about that, but at least, yeah, you have a place where you can see what we have set in the past days. Next, the new awesome feature made by Alex too is the preset weights. So it has been branded as weight copying, weight copy, sorry, in the Twitter space, but it's not weight copy. It's just to reproduce. It's to vote weights based on another validator's weights. So here we have only, for the moment, we're supporting only Taostats, Roundtable, and OpenTensor Foundation, OTF, because that's for us the validators that are the most the most involved into the network. And if you want to have more supported, feel free to ask. Some numbers, insane numbers. We reached 46k stakes and 94 unique delegators today, which is really insane. So thank you very, very much, everybody. That's thanks to you. Yes, Gegish,
It's been 46K in like a very short time frame, right? When did
yeah.
you guys start?
Yeah, totally. So as you can see in the graph, we started approximately the 17th of last month. So which is like really insane, to be honest. I think it's I'm not sure, but I think we are one of the most validator that increase the most. Sorry, my English is bad, but I think you understood. So well, it's pretty insane. So I'm really thankful for everybody for the trust, and I wish we'll continue growing, and we'll continue to deliver like that. So also another features, as you saw, there is the stake channel, the hyperparam channel, which has been done since weeks. Now we have since recently the validator, derage and rewage notifier. So if you are a validator, feel free to contact us and we can directly ping you. It's okay, or we can mention it in the bot instead of just saying the name. So we have also the whale transfer, which is checking every transactions superior to 2.5k tau, and we have the exchange mapper like Binance, Kraken, and so on and so forth. And since very recently we have the GitHub repo. To be honest, I didn't know someone would have pushed it to production today, but it was already tested since few days ago in staging. So okay, you already know how it looks like because edge maxing is working a lot. So yeah, thanks to edge maxing to showing it off. Some miscellaneous sentence, let's say. So there were the 2049 token Singapore events where Inference Lab branded a lot miners union validator. So thanks a lot for that. That's very appreciated. We had tons of tweets with the shirts, and thanks to this events as well, Inference Labs contracted many meetups, and they met a lot of people in the BitTensor ecosystem. So that's really a great milestone, in my opinion. On our side, we're cooperating with a lot of more subnet owners and developers. So until today, there is always some validator script that are crashing, unfortunately, and since recently we are contacting more and more subnet owner, which makes some improvements into their code, and we cooperate to debug some stuff, So it's a great improvement as well. And last but not the least, OTF, who delegated us 10% of their stake to us, which is insane. So thanks a lot to OTF, to be honest. I didn't expect that. At first, I was like, wow, this is insane. So for all of you and all of you guys, I just want to say thank you. Thanks a lot. That's very appreciated. I hope we will continue to make great things, and I hope we will just improve. And that's it. It was quick enough. Now I will pass the stage on on the edge maxing. Maybe, I don't know, whoever wants to start to show off. But if you have any questions, any suggestions, feel free to ask, feel free to tell them, and well, we're here to answer.
We should also get Ash and maybe Alex on stage, if that's possible.
Yeah, definitely.
Cool. Happy to jump in with a quick introduction on edge maxing. At high level, the purpose of this subnet is to create more performant and optimized versions of models. So say you've got like a stable diffusion and it generates a 512 by 512 image in 10 seconds on a 4090. The point of edge maxing is to take that same stable diffusion model and have it generate that same image with that same prompt in 5 seconds or 2 seconds instead, and essentially get more out of a GPU. The second goal of edge maxing is to run this process specifically on consumer hardware. And so for us, that means MacBooks, PlayStations, gaming computers. Our first contest is running on 4090s as sort of an accessible starting point. And the idea here is if we can both make a model extremely optimized and get it to run on an edge device that presumably is owned by hundreds of millions of people, like a MacBook or a PlayStation, then we have dramatically opened the pool of potential compute contributors. Because think about where the compute is coming from today. It's coming from data centers, which are either owned by, big companies like AWS and GCP, smaller companies like RunPod and Lambda, some random crypto farmer who has got a bunch of 4090s left over and doesn't really know what he's doing with them. But these are GPUs and data centers. And wouldn't it be great, wouldn't it be amazing if regular people with the devices they already owned, like their iPhone 15 and their MacBook and their PlayStation and their gaming computer, could just click a button and start contributing compute to a global network? I think if we can solve this problem, it can have a huge impact, just considering how many of these devices are out there and how many of these people are out there. And so we're very, very excited about it. Now I'll bring it down to reality a little bit. For the last month, we've been struggling to competition and overall subnet to exactly the point we want it to be, and we're super, super close. I think we're basically right there. And maybe Ash and Alex can tell you guys more about that. But essentially, we had two main problems. The first was just that the subnet itself needed to accommodate miners being able to make more kinds of submissions and more kinds of optimizations and sort of appropriately score and allow for those. And the second was none of our miners were really competing. Everyone was just copying each other's models and no one was really producing any innovations. I'll just speak about the second half briefly. One, we'd love for the miners and the server to take a look at edge maxing, and we are at your disposal for help, collaboration, and scheming on how to make things work. And second, we've, I guess, tried to be a bit proactive about this, and we've reached out to basically all of the models optimization specialists we knew, whether they were people we knew already or even people we found on places like Upwork. And essentially, we gave them the same competition that's running on the subnet. We said, hey, we need an optimized stable diffusion for 4090s. Here is the scoring function. Here is how similarity is calculated. Here is how you get rewarded for generation time improvements. Make an improved model. And then we explained BitTensor to them, and we're like, well, on top of paying you through Upwork, you should submit the model and you can earn like $50,000 a day worth of Tau. And they're like, what? We can't believe that. So we've been recruiting people that way as well. And I think this is something we're going to continue to do in the future, where we actually go to these experts, use some of the proceeds that the subnet has generated to just pay them directly.
Yeah.
And then submit the model on their behalf and be like, by the way, we know we already paid you $5,000, but if you just submitted this model on the subnet yourself, you could have earned another 50. And then give them that money and be like, join BitTensor, there's plenty more where that came from.
Wow.
Maybe I'll stop rambling here. Ash, Alex, do you want to share anything about the subnet and some of the developments we've done over the last month?
Yeah, so hello. As subnet has been growing a lot in terms of what miners are doing, we've seen some submissions that improve like up to 5 times or more on the generation speed. But that's not without its fair share of issues. We've had a lot of issues in regards to benchmarking and the scale of all submissions, all 230 something. And over the past months, like Benzi said, we've just been working on cracking every bug. In terms of the recent like improvements that we've made, we recently migrated to Fiber and different package from Bitensor. We're adding support for multiple GPUs, like multiple of the same consumer hardware. So the validators have more power to work with and less trouble going through all of the benchmarks. What did we do? Hold on, let me go look at the VIs real quick.
You should share your screen so people can see how many PRs there are.
I sent a screenshot earlier, but screen share never works with me.
PR
That's a
flood.
lot.
We've also been improving a lot of the 1DB metrics, so you could see a lot more of what the validators are doing, all of the work they have, and I don't really have much else to add there, Benzi.
Yeah, I guess just to briefly explain at a high level, the first problem on the subnet was that we basically had like a 200-way tie because all of the miners were submitting basically the same thing. And so we had to deal with that. One of the more recent problems we had was it was just taking validators a long time to benchmark all of the like 200 submissions from the miners. And that was interfering with the contest running smoothly. And I guess for anyone else that's interested, I'd encourage you to look through our PR history where you can see some of the work we've done. Happy to answer any questions or share more about the subnet, but that's basically it.
That's really insane. I totally understand the difficulty about the validators to benchmark all of the miners because, of course, as you said, there are a lot of much more models to benchmark than validators, and especially each models are weight like they are like heavy. Sorry. So yeah, it's also an interesting approach as Ron is saying, and I really like it. And I think, tell me if I'm wrong, but I'm sure you found new miners proposing like, okay, guys, if you would have just pushed your model into your subnet, you would have won, let's say 5k a day or 50k a day. I mean, I'm sure you have brought some miners into BitTensor. That's insane.
Yes. We're at like 2 new miners. And, I think to really see the strategy play out in full,
Yeah.
we need to get the subnet to full health, which we're very, very close to. And then we just want to continuously do this.
Great. That's awesome. Anyone want to get up on stage or say something? Just feel free to raise and you pop on stage. Ron, maybe you have a comment.
I want to elaborate on the issues on subnet, like why we haven't seen a stable competition yet. We've mostly had issues with benchmarking, like I said, but we've also had issues with weight setting that we've been working on over the weekend and yesterday. Now, we fixed the last of the issues that we know about today, where submissions weren't properly collected. And we suspect that the next competition tomorrow, we will see like results flowing in.
Also want to thank the Miners Union. I think we're your highest rated subnet right now, which I just woke up one day and got those news. So we are really, really grateful for that.
Thank you very much.
We should get Unget and Mr. Akshat in the mix.
Yes. I have a deck I could run you guys through, and can you guys see my screen?
Yep, we can.
Okay, amazing. Cool. So we're Dippy Subnet 11, and um, our goal is to be the first subnet to create a model that will power an app that will be used by hopefully tens of millions of people. I'll give a little bit of a high level overview of company first and the app we're working on, and then I'll sort of talk a little bit about what our subnet is doing. So the problem our company is tackling is AI companionship, and it became very clear to Akshat and me about 6 months ago. Akshat's my co-founder; he's sitting right here. And it became very clear to us that companionship is the biggest consumer opportunity in AI. And we observed this company called Character AI. They were recently acqui-hired by Google for $2.5 billion. And we saw the numbers coming out of this company are insane. So it's 100. I'm sure most of you guys here don't even know about Character AI or have never used it, but it's the 100th most visited website in the world. It gets 20,000 queries per second, which is 20% of Google search volume.
Wow.
And why are these apps getting so much usage? It's because we're actually the humanity is the loneliest it's ever been. This is because as we get richer, we're living in cities, we're living in tiny one-bedroom condos. We don't live with our family or we don't live with a tribe anymore. A lot of us are alone. We're using a lot of social media, and especially university students, like high school students. After school, um, they're not hanging out with their friends. They're playing video games or they're spending time on social media, and so everyone's incredibly lonely, and everyone needs someone to talk to, and they're flocking to these apps. But the problem we saw is all of these apps are web first, even though all the users are on mobile. So what does this mean? This is all publicly available data on SimilarWeb, but 75% of Character AI's web users are actually using their mobile app. 75% of Character AI's users are actually using Safari on mobile or Chrome on mobile, because Character AI is fundamentally a research company. They're not product people. Um, and yeah, they've gone web first. They've gone research first as well. So they're doing. They've spent hundreds of millions of dollars training the model from scratch. Um, that's not an approach we are taking. And yeah, what we noticed essentially was users need mobile first AI companion experience, and that's what Dippy is. Dippy launched just in April, so it's been barely 5 months since the app came out, and our usage is exploding. Today might be one of our highest traffic days. We have over 2,000 users on the app in the last 30 minutes. Users are global. We have charted. We were number one in Germany in top new free entertainment apps in the Play Store. Number two in Italy. I think we should have charted really high in Poland yesterday because we had a lot of usage in Poland. But this need is what this has taught us is this need is global, the need for companionship and friendship. And another crazy fact is the average user spends over an hour on the app, and that's a number. Akshat especially has been building consumer apps since he was like 12, and this is a number we've never seen. And over 70 million messages have been sent by users. It's probably much higher now, and our approach is pretty different to the competitors, even from a tech standpoint. So Dippy is currently powered by an open source model. I'll talk about our subnet, but eventually it will be powered by a BitTensor model. And we are mobile first, whereas our competitors are web first. And the problem Subnet 11 is solving is um, all of this state of the. So firstly, role play LLMs are a brand new field. There is very little research going on. and almost no open source work. And all these companies, there's Character AI, there's a company called Chai Research, there's Replica. None of them actually tell anyone what powers the app, and we don't know how big the model is. We don't know what data it's trained on, and this is this centralization we think isn't good, and Subnet aims to address this problem. And um, while if you look at productivity LLMs, so say you look at a model like ChatGPT, ChatGPT is centralized and closed, but then we have alternatives. We have like Mistral has open source a lot of models. Llama 3 just came out and it's great and it's totally open source. And Llama 4 is going to come out. So in the productivity LLMs, there are tons of open source, I guess, counterparties to OpenAI. But when it comes to role play, there is no similar group doing open source work, and there's no open source state of the art role play model available. And our subnet aims to address this. So we are to Character AI what Mistral is to OpenAI. And I've done a few blog posts. I'll share them in chat in a bit, just outlining what we're doing if anyone's interested to dive deeper. And this is a feat our subnet achieved recently where the miner submitted models perform better than GPT 3.5 Turbo and Llama 3.8B on EQ Bench. It's a benchmark we think is very important because it measures the emotional intelligence of LLMs. And this slide has to be updated, but in November, so we're about 2 months away. We are going to be making a handful of improvements to our subnet, and we think the model is going to reach a point where it'll be good enough that one we will open source it. We're still thinking about what the name of the model will be, but we will use one of the miner submitted models to power the Dippy app. And yeah, we're excited to bring, I guess, an AI commodity created on BitTensor to millions of people. Hopefully, by that point, we have over 1 million monthly active. We've been growing. So, just to give you a sense, in April, we had maybe 500 or 1,000 monthly active. Now we have 400,000 monthly active. So hopefully by the end of the year, when the BitTensor model powers the app, we'll have millions of users using this model, and it will be called BitTensor. It'll be called. We have to figure out what the name is, but we will definitely be highlighting the name BitTensor in the app when users pick it. But yeah, that's a bit about us. Happy to take any questions, and Dakshat and I are here. So
That's very, very interesting and very impressive as well. I could have already one question. So you said the model is not yet open sourced.
it is open source. So
It is open source?
which model are you referring to? Everything on our subnet is open source.
Yeah, your model. For the moment, do you host it on GitHub or just Hugging Face?
We have a Hugging Face leaderboard,
Okay.
which I can
Perfect.
find and
Okay, that's
share.
amazing.
Yeah,
So
it should also be pinned on our SN11 channel.
and that's the miners model, or
That's the miners.
okay,
Yeah.
perfect.
Yeah.
That's amazing. That's you found, guys, exactly the soul of BitTensor. It's exactly the purpose
Soul
of
of
BitTensor. Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, congrats. To be honest, it's very exciting. I hope more subnets would be like this. Well, I don't have much more questions. Maybe if anyone wants to get on stage, feel free to join, to raise your hand, let's say. But well done, guys. Huh? That's very promising,
Thanks
and
so much.
I hope you will find a super cool name with BitTensor references, and I wish you the best.
Thank you.
What's been the most exciting kind of role play that you've seen your users have in the app?
We don't see our users' chats. Privacy first.
And privacy first. Makes sense.
Well, nobody wants to get up on stage. Sorry, guys. By the way, I'm super sick. I I didn't expect to show the camera, by the way. But I'm terribly sick. Like I have COVID. I have an angine. I don't know. I don't fucking know how it's named in English, but I have an angine and I have conjunctivite. Sorry. Well, okay. You prefer shit posting?
I did have a question.
Go ahead.
And I'm not familiar with the particular field, but I do remember reading an article where there were these kind of companions that were being created, and there was actually like a study that had showed that these companions really did help, like veterans from that had PTSD, or people that had like lost loved ones. Um, it is kind of interesting, like with these characters being created as humans, and we're kind of creating these bonds. Um, it is in the space, and I'm not trying to shill like verified inference. But there was one example that I remember in that article where it was a veteran, and the model was updated, and they weren't actually able to kind of engage at the same level that they did with that kind of original character. Have you guys kind of given any thought on how that works? And I've experienced it. If you use Midjourney, you create a character of some sort. It's very hard to have that character, or at least character repeatability. From a superficial standpoint, visually it kind of looks like the same. You can kind of prompt it and have the actual kind of description, but underlying, if you kind of look deeper, that character has been lost. And I imagine that could happen here as well. Would love to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, I guess one thing we found is there's actually a lot of elements to the personality of a character, and something. So one, the model obviously matters, but one thing we spent maybe over a month working on or understanding was prompt templates. And it's pretty insane how important the template is when it comes to building a role play app. And even if, like, instead of bullet points, you use a paragraph, or if you forget to add a punctuation mark somewhere, or something small changes with the prompt, that can totally change the personality of a character. And yeah, I don't know if that answers your question, but
Yeah, it does. It's just interesting because, like, obviously, BitTensor as a network, there's no network like it. It pushes, these models to change the incentive model, and it is just interesting because, yeah, from a character perspective, as these models do change, you're right. My experience is even the slightest change can really change the underlying character by a significant amount. But
Yep.
yeah, no, that's great. Yeah.
Yeah, we just added this. Akshat just shared something in chat. It's like a chain of thought model that we added for premium users. Just a cool design, I guess. Is there something you want to discuss?
It's I guess they don't speak. Someone asked they don't if they speak they don't speak, but they do think now.
Yeah.
Is that is the
So this is a premium feature. You can ask a character to rethink, and then it'll even explain its thought process. And it's live on the app right now. We just rolled premium out a few days ago, so it's very, very early. And
Wow.
Would you rather have a real girlfriend or an AI girlfriend?
I would rather have a real girlfriend for sure. I feel like even the folks on the app chatting with the AI girlfriend, hopefully they're getting like practice and yeah. They're building their risk skills.
why not both?
Why not both?
I might have a miners oriented question. How is working? To be honest, I didn't check at all recently the incentive mechanism that you are using. So, what is currently your scoring mechanism that you attribute to miners?
The scoring mechanism?
Yeah.
Yeah, we have like a multi-pronged approach, I would say, to it. So part of the reason why it took us a while to figure out and achieve the feat of, I guess, performing well on EQ bench was with a lot of model creation subnets, you run into issues with overfitting. So essentially, you give miners a data set and then they basically take it and overfit the model on it. So in reality, the model is garbage if you ask it anything outside of what's mentioned in the data set. And so we had to come up with this new synthetic data generation benchmark. So we took like a baseline amount of characters and used much more powerful judging models like OpenAI's GPT-4, or there's like Mythomax that's really good at role play. And they sort of start the conversation in a role play scenario, like maybe you're talking to your therapist, and the minor model has to respond to it and be coherent and legible and all of those things. And so this really prevents overfitting, because if you overfit, your coherence score goes to zero. And for us, in the scoring criteria, coherence is a binary thing. So if you score zero on coherence, no matter what you score on the other criteria, you get a total score of zero. So this was like a huge unlock for us, which actually performed us to do well on EQ bench. And then other than that, we have something called vibe score. So as opposed to like productivity LLMs, role play LLMs, if you say hi to your girlfriend, you don't want like a bulleted list response of like, hey, I'm doing well and this is here and so on. You just need, hey, what's up, as like a reply.
Perfect.
And so we make sure the length is matched and the vibe is there. And we also test its reasoning capabilities by randomly throwing like a math question, for example, just things out of distribution to make sure the model has some form of intelligence.
Great. Clear enough. And you were working on this since a bit before BitTensor, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
since you entered into BitTensor, have you observed a huge improvement into the models? Have you observed like some benefits of it?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we've constantly seen like an upwards rise in model performance. And I guess this is like largely attributable to the excellent miners that we have on our subnet.
We've gotten to know some of the miners, and like they are working on really cool stuff outside of our subnet as well. One of them is working on the new Claude series at Anthropic. There's
Google engineers.
there's Google engineers. There's one PhD from Saudi Arabia who's like done a lot of great work on a lot of great research on LLM. So it's pretty amazing the quality of people on our subnet, and it's really competitive as well, it seems.
Cool. That's really glad to hear. Well, does anyone else have a question? Maybe Formalize wants to come on stage, but he's not there anymore. I don't see him anymore. No, mad because I thought it was offensive. Mad because the truth hurts. Well, okay. I also have another question, maybe, but it's not directly linked to only your subnet, but it's in general with everybody, every subnets that are that requires a dataset generation. How do you guarantee the uniqueness? I don't know how to say it correctly in English, but the unique, let's say, generation of the dataset every time for the same miners?
Yeah, so I guess for us, it's just like a matter of how many permutations of the conversation can be.
Yeah.
So we have like 10,000 characters times 2,000 types of conversations times 5,000 different starting messages. So I think the number comes out to be something in the billions
Yeah.
possibility of conversation. And so that just ensures that, I guess, miners usually receive like a unique, I would say,
Okay. Yeah, fair enough.
role play scenario. And we just don't test one role play scenario, we test it on like many and then take the average.
And then just to give you guys a sense, Akshat, like how much have we spent out of pocket for this?
Like the data set is really unique. We're actually going to release it publicly along with some
paper
detailed info next week. But
Wow.
we spent over $100,000 at this point just producing the data set.
Okay.
And so hopefully that's useful for the larger play community as well and the BitTensor community.
And it was the data set that helped make our subnet. Basically, it's really, or like we don't know, like there's all, we don't know of any exploit, or like exploits keep coming up, but the data set played a really big role in improving model quality and just making the subnet less exploitable.
Great. That's amazing. Well, thank you very much. I think there is no more questions. If you want to leave any comments, any suggestions that we should focus on for the next weeks, for the next days, I don't know. Feel free to tell us, and we'll try to make it to answer to it or to make it truth. Also, I would like to thanks a lot. So Xangad and Zion and Alex, actually Ashley as well. So thank you very, very much everybody for coming up on stage. Very sorry again for my my English, which is not the best. And thank you everybody to came on the stage. That's very, very great, and it makes us even more motivated to make more great things and to make more events like this. So, well, I want to thank you all, and I wish you to continue the best as you can. Thank you very much. Thanks everybody. Okay, I'll cut the stage. See you everybody.